So when we work on this data set available, on the heavy data, we tried with 1 lakh rows, it was slow. 50,000 rows, it was quite okay, slightly slow, but with 1 lakh rows, it became fairly slow. So in big data, people don't apply that. That's why it's not very popular. But in case your data is quite reasonable, for example, you can always apply this data table as a source for many tables, wherein you need the update available. As soon as I add a column or a row to the data, the update should go to my extended formulas or features for that matter. In that case, support of the data table can work really dynamically good. So that's what filters here and here also. That's what filters. That's part that we had to cover. Let's go to the next part over here. Sort I've shown you already. If I just sort by one particular data, I can just say this over here. The prompt can be copied and pasted over here. So look at this. Am I not too comfortable sorting the data myself, then giving a command to CoPilot? I am comfortable. We become so comfortable using Excel for about 2-3 years, and we are conversant with the keys. And we can merely close the eyes and function the keys because we look at the screen, not at the keyboard, and try to work efficiently. That's why we can't see much of the mileage in CoPilot for Excel. But with Excel, when we go, for example, for pivots, analysis of the data, then it plays a vital role, which is again for the management. So it is not strictly meant for the management, double quotes. No, it is not. But the objective was that eventually it has become very powerful and will become even more powerful as we give more inputs to it and then work on that, extend it further, for example. That's why sometimes we can't see much mileage into it because a lot of work we can do ourselves only. So we don't see much of the mileage over there, but still it is definitely a tool ahead and really a wonderful tool ahead to give us the answer available for the data set that we have there. So going further, for example, if I try this in this case over here, Control V, and okay, it's applied that over here, sorry. I apply that here, apply. It sorted the data on what? Munchen product column. There we are. So Munchen is not the point, it's basically product column. I could have said that also, but I'm trying to say if the mixture happens, for example, it can work like that also. If I try, for example, like this.
So one question here.
Yes.
How do we apply that filter function you just showed on Excel on CoPilot? Can we do that?
Yeah, we can do that. It doesn't take the command so straight. We tried that earlier. We just have to tell people, we just finish that part here. Has it worked around?
Okay.
Yeah, 5 and 6 combined in this case. So I've got area plus sale available there. Area plus sale, you can see that over here. Important part is I'm saying sale in descending order. If I see that again, for example, I'll come back to that shortly. Filter again. Give me a moment. I've sorted an ID right now. You can see the random sort here. Here, I'm trying to say to CoPilot, sort the data on area. If I sort the data on area directly, for example, say, for example, if I sort here, then I go back here and sort here, for example, I can see East available with 87, 85 in the middle. I can see North available with 78 here, 81 here, random data. If I see South here, I can see 98 here, 80 here, and 92 here, random data. I want to say that please sort the data in such a way that when I get my East sorted here, I should see my top values on the top. That is what this prompt is talking about. So it says that if I try to apply that over here like this, it says sort the data on area plus sale. Sort the data on area plus sale with sale in descending order. So that every time my area changes over here, I can see the topmost sale on the top. That command might be difficult for me to apply manually because I've done the sort on single cell always, single column always. I don't know how to combine that and show this order in that case. I can give a prompt to CoPilot. So and apply that over here. See, I can apply this over here like this, enter. And this makes a more sense. Okay, I have to click the data first. I hope we pick up the data now. I guess it has. Let me just see. Yeah. So look at the data now. 54, 81, 80 over here. And this one is like 37, should be 76. Let's apply that. working fine. 87, perfect. North, 81. Below that is lower value. South, 98. Below that, lower value. West, highest and lowest thereafter. That makes sense. So that is the special prompt I've given that. Besides the normal sort I can apply, for example. That's what I can see in this case. So these are the special areas where we can really leverage the power of CoPilot. We have to learn to give a command to CoPilot. That is the way it works. We have to learn to give a proper command. And when we learn proper efficient way to give a command to CoPilot, then we become quite conversant. And slowly the speed will increase over here. Slightly slow right now, but then it's quite comfortable because you know that the result will be fine. So then you can see the complex situation and work with that easily. Yeah.
One of the attendees asked about the questions. They're like a set of questions that are kind of preset or not, I guess, structured in a way of how to ask those questions to CoPilot. Is there, and I think you mentioned that there was, that there is there just a way of setting up the questions so that what we're looking for in the output is based on how we of a model, or is it just kind of, as you mentioned, there was a set of questions that you had already prompts, but is there somewhere we can look at, or at least reference to know how to frame the questions for CoPilot?
Okay. Frankly speaking, I'm creating a library, and it's a kind of 30 to 40 questions already in Excel. I'm making a bunch of 100. Once I do all 100, I'll send it to all my groups available there. These are the questions available. Why should they go hunting for YouTube in that case? If you talk about structure, what is the structure for that? Then we have the structure like this. We first have to define the range or region or paragraph, basically the target of the data. Number two, I have to define my question properly. What do I want? My expectations. Number three, I am not saying expectation is a result or result is an expectation. That is not the point. If I say, for example, I want to sort my data, that is my expectation. The result I want is my descending order. That's in sort. I want to filter my data. That is my expectation. The result I want is I want filter of north. That's my result I want. So expectation is something else, result is something else. Result is next step to expectation. The number four, we apply the close of that. Where is the output we want? And the format, if you want to understand that. If you realize I mentioned that. So if you notice over here, since I'm sharing the file with you always, you'll notice it says fill color as orange and font color as black. I'm representing my output also in that manner, for example, so that I can see what is my output and the format available there. Where do I want it? Then I can finally say the location. So these things can be combined in one statement also and different statements also. If I want my bigger work from Excel, for example, I got to describe in these 5 expectations, not this expectation, the expectation for the entire prompt I'm saying. So these are the prompt expectation that the prompt will always want from you, for example.
So
Yes.
Can we give this command in like 5 steps instead of making a big long sentence?
Normally it's a single step only, but if I have to have my bigger answer available, I might have to give smaller steps also. I'll have the examples coming up shortly. So in this case, I've given you the big example over here. I'll be coming with smaller example also shortly. We'll do that.
Okay.
In the case of VLOOKUP and XLOOKUP, we'll try that. We'll do that as well and see how does that work. Yeah. Regarding the filter, I've tried to work on that. We got the answer sometimes we didn't get the answer. I'll have to go out of the space to have the filter function tried extra, for example, because I want my output somewhere else. Okay, this was this one over here. And that was choose columns. Okay, let's keep it over here. Save the filter output from the data in B25 to G145 with north as filter in area column. This gave us the result 2 out of 5 times. Twice it gave the result, 3 times it did not give the result. So let me test again. So 20%, 40% was the success that we found that over there. It's done that. They have not given me the answer separately. I can undo that and try to frame my question again and say, provide me with the filter function. So that is my expectation. So if I try that again, for example, over here. Create the filter function as the output from the data here with north as filter in area column. Perfect.
Hey, you know, ZaranTech now offers SAP corporate training. That's right. Train your workforce in SAP with our comprehensive program. We offer customized courses, certified trainers, and hands-on labs for both individuals and businesses. Our standout features: bespoke training, fully configured servers for practice, in-house materials, and a dedicated LMS. Plus, get session recordings and 24/7 support. From functional to technical modules, we have got it all. Choose ZaranTech for SAP training and watch your team excel. Learn, upskill, succeed with ZaranTech.
When I reframe that, I have to reframe that because I'm setting up my expectation. What is my expectation? Result is what I'm saying finally. So it does not work on that again. It works only on the source data. It doesn't work extra, for example. But you will see in the same scenario. So some people might say sometimes, I'm not saying about us over here, but when we have bigger classes, for example, some people say maybe you've not given the data set here. But I'll show that in VLOOKUP. I really hope it works. Also, if I place my data here, my cell here, it works perfectly fine, even if my data is outside over here. You can see that I tried it over here, but give the direction for the data from here. It picked up the data from here, but does not give me the function over here. I specified that as well. Create the filter function. I specified that over here. So it has not done that. Maybe after 3-4 times it will work with that. But presently it works on the raw data itself. That's what we can find. But gradually you can see that when we try to apply so many prompts over there, we are getting educated to educate CoPilot to listen to our commands and then come out with the answers. Effectively, if you see, if I try to keep working on that, for example, it will continue to guide me on my data sets available at my command, and that becomes quite easy. It doesn't make me lazy actually, but I can really think about something more about the data than typing the data myself in the form of the functions. If I command it to it, for example, by simply saying this command over here, and after I finish my command, I can say enter. I can press enter on my keyboard. I don't have to say enter. I finish my command saying over here. When I say the command here, I can press enter on the keyboard. It performs the action in front of me. So it is basically quite easy, comfortable, and I can concentrate on my data more than typing a command and setting up a space for that. So CoPilot eventually gives me the guidance to and supports me in my thinking for the data and guidance to my future thinking about the data, what I can think about, analyze about the data in my mind, for example. That gives me the comfort level available. So that is the advantage finally, and that will certainly, I'm hopeful, it will certainly come to play with most of the people because it's fairly easy. The cost and the application and the download might be slightly clumsy at present, but then it's quite useful. It's quite useful a tool. Okay, this will certainly work miles for us, as it has been a buzzword around. See, anything that comes up again, it becomes quite a buzzword across as compared to the reality. But we have seen Word, we have seen PowerPoint for the small snapshot that we saw just now. It actually works. It actually works. The only thing is I have to be more conversant and practiced well to define my commands to CoPilot. I have to really go for that, but it will take a little time. It's quite easy otherwise. Okay, so let's go to the next step right now. Control page down I mentioned earlier is next sheet. Control page up is a previous sheet. Control page down next sheet. Control page up the previous sheet. That's what we see in this case. We've seen the sort action also in action. We've seen this very clearly. I'll modify this because this file goes to you finally. So I need not apply this in this case. I can work directly like that also. This will work fine. Okay, going further, pivots and charts. Yep, that's important. Now this, without the CoPilot, is also a tool. Let me show you. Quite a tool, quite interesting. If you don't have a CoPilot, we have got good answers available there. I can simply go to the data here. This is some selection there. What am I doing, by the way? Let me show you something very important. If I pick up my data here, for example, copy the data here, paste it here, Control-C and Enter is common to paste. And when I press the Control-C, you can see that. You can see that over here. Select destination and press Enter. This has been a comment by Excel for the years when Excel started. So from the beginning of learning Excel, I've never had to press Control-C and Control-V. I have to press Control-C and Enter. So I'll press the Enter now. And the focus slide that you saw over here is part of Power Toys. Double Control left key. I can do right key also. I did left key. Right key, we are comfortable with more of the keys available. Enter in the right side, arrows on the right side. So I've kept my left control key for double control for focus like that. This is part of Power Toys, available in Excel, sorry, available in Windows only. It's part of Windows. You don't have to download it separately. Yeah, you have to download separately, but then it's part of it. You don't have to really. This is available here. Power Toys. That's Power Toys Awake, and this Power Toys complete version. A very good tool available. There are many other sets available. So I can press Control twice to focus a particular situation, and then I can make this lens bigger also in the settings. It fades away after 2-3 seconds, for example. So in a meeting, if I'm focusing on something and do that, I collected all the tools I should be having as a trainer. So I got these together, Zoom it and Power Toys. Back to this. When I get my data here, for example, understand my point over here. If I want to clear this data, I can delete the column because there's nothing above and below that. I can do that. I can delete the rows also. No, I cannot. I've got some data here. The rows will go off over here. But suppose I have the column with contents I require here and the contents I require here. So I can't delete the column and the row to get my clean data available. Objective is to get the clean data available over here. But if I clear that now, for example, like this and this, I have to delete first, then clear my borders thereafter, then clear my color, for example, and I realize I've done my work. But if I go back and write something, it is still bold, is it not? This is bold, this is not. Control Z, 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 Z again. See, I'm here. What do I do? One short answer. Why one short answer? Because the backup is like this. We got to have the backup of everything available, and that sets our role apart in that case by understanding the concept behind that particular answer that we got over there. That sets a role apart with other Excel users. Okay, so if I know the backup, I can take the call very fast and easy. Yeah, what is the backup? The backup is this. Excel cell has got multiple attributes. These are formula, value, link, note, comment, color, border. These are the attributes of Excel. Cell, I'm saying. So one cell can contain all of these. And one cell does contain all of these. Okay, the formula is not there, but then it can contain. Okay, we know that very well. If I erase all attributes, if I erase all attributes, the shortcut is Alt-A, double A. That's a shortcut, and that's my shortcut, Alt-A, double A, erase all attributes. Then when I go here, for example, I just have to press Alt-E, then release it. Remember, I told you that the comma means I can release my keys and press my double A without any keys. So Alt-E, that's Alt-E here, only double A now. 1, 2, and it's absolutely clear. One shot at the answer is clear. If I go back here now and type in data, for example, it's normal. It's not bold. It's perfect. So these cells become as new as anything. Okay, that's what I tried here earlier when I saw the borders over here. Got it? So that's one of the inputs to give me the guidance on how can I clear my cells and make it fresh new cells. Back to pivots. The pause is only for a sip of water, please. So bear with me. Give me a moment. Thank you. So I can go here, apply this, Control F1, ribbon band, hide and display. Control F1, hide, Control F1, display. Okay. Home tab, analyze here. That's my data comprising of how much data? It is like 609. That's my data set available there. Analyze the data. Let's pick up the data. Let me recall for you. I mentioned earlier also, sort, filter, pivot, chart, and data table. I am saying sort, filter, pivot, chart, and data table. All these options don't require my table selection. That is what I did. I made a selection of a single cell over here. It picked up the entire data automatically. So does analyze over here. And see my analysis over here. It is already created. CoPilot will have to create it. It has created already. So I can really insert my pivot table to a new sheet. Absolutely fine. There we are. And let me tell you, this is a cross-tab table. In pivot table, it's a cross-tab table. I'll give you the inputs on pivot table as well shortly. I'm just showing what is the output I'm getting here. It's a cross-tab table. This one is bar graphs. Table, bar graph. And I've got many more things available. Show all 36 results. I can see all of these over here. Complete analysis of the data. Look at this outliers and remember this, please. Look at this and remember. I'll place it somewhere here. Okay, just remember this, okay? So these are the analysis that got from my analysis table available there. Understood. One shot and all the answers are here. It can then say which is the variant for dealer Ken Swen. Okay. There we are. Count of dealer. What are the variants? Everything we get over here. All the suggestions we get over here. So CoPilot is separate, but this is inbuilt into your system already. Without the CoPilot, you can get the answers available here. This was there since 2016. Since 2016, it was there. And we had the smaller version prior to that. Let's not go into that. Where was it? But right now it is here. That's important. That's what we can find over here. And that's the prelude to AI. That's a prelude to AI. Before the AI, it was already there, for example. But now with AI, I can have many, many things available over there. I can work with many things in that case. So I've got several outputs available over here for the pivot table I've made so far. I'll keep my reference sheets to the right side in this case like that. So when I copy a sheet across, I've moved the sheet just now, right? If I copy the sheet here, for example, if I'm here, suppose I'm here, that's my raw data. We'll discuss on macros later, and that will confuse in fact. Let's go to some other sheet. All the sheets are barely worked upon. Let's see this sheet, okay? I'll work on this sheet later. I'm telling you something else. When I drag some sheet from here to here, it goes here. Then I drag it goes over here. I want to copy that. We can right click on that and go to move or copy over here. And that shows me this window. The shortcut to this window is Alt-E-M, E for England, M for Mumbai. Alt-E-M. So if I try Alt-E-M here, I'm working here, for example, Alt-E, you can see that Alt-E there. Only M, M for Mango, M for Mumbai. And I can see the same window appearing over here. Get me? I can try that over here, create a copy and go to the part of the sheet I want to apply, or go to this other file, for example. No. What I can do is I can directly go here, hold the control key and drag it out and drop it over here. It's so easy. It is so easy. So I can drag and drop the same copy across the same workbook in another portion of the workbook. I can copy this in the same workbook somewhere else by simply holding the control key. I'm pressing Alt-E and then L to delete that. There we are. When you delete a sheet, let me tell you the history undo is cleared. When you run the macro, the history undo is cleared. We can't undo after that. After deletion of the sheet and after executing the macro, we cannot undo Excel actions. Okay. Sometimes after pivots and charts also and filters off, because they are handling huge data. Whenever the data is quite huge, for example, you might not get that available there. Otherwise, I can go to some 100 undos also. I can easily do that. It works. It does work. Okay. So back to our work where we are here in the pivot table here, for example, where are we? Let's go on. Here, that's the data. So we saw that analysis over there. Let's see CoPilot and see the prompts over here. Display outliers in the data. Remember, I put the outliers over here. So I'll say display outliers in the data. So there might be a different pivot chart there, but we had something similar over here. See that over here? That's on the date. This one's on the area. I could have specified this one also on the date. Yeah, that's right. Outliers actually have to be on the dates only. Yeah, in fact. So that's the way it works. I can specify what is the outlier, by the way? The odd changes in my price, the odd changes in the customer demand, the odd changes in the quantity that is dropped, for example, from shipping, the odd changes that have gone up, surge up, for example. They are the outliers. The trend, outside the trend is called the outliers of the data. Important assessment as far as the data analysis is concerned. So when I go back to my pivot here, for example, again.
What sets ZaranTech apart in SAP corporate training? It's our unique blend of expertise and innovation. We offer customized courses tailored to each client's needs, ensuring relevant, targeted learning. Our vast trainer database brings you wisdom from the best in the field. Need resources? Access our extensive training material repository anytime. We are all about measurable results, providing detailed student metrics to track progress. And we don't just teach, we build community. Join our thriving social media network, connecting learners beyond boundaries. With ZaranTech, you are not just training, you are transforming your SAP expertise.
So I can define my outliers here in the data. Create pivot to show quantity by dealer totals. Now let me tell you one thing. Let's go for the basics of pivot table just to pick up what is the, we might have learned pivot from here and there, sometime from a proper training institute also, that's okay. But then something very important lies underneath the pivot table fundamentals. For example, I'll give you that input here in next 5 minutes, and then we go with the next part of the data after that. So let me tell you what are the basics of the pivot table, how we should see the data, which is what is going to come up over here. Number one, when I see my raw data available, let's cross it. When I see my raw data available, for example, I can always look at the data which contains my group entries, for example. These are the group entries that we can find in the data. These are the group entries in the data because they repeat. Because they repeat. This repeats, this repeats, this repeats, and this repeats. Although it's a number, numbers are not taken as group entries, but because here is a entity by itself. So it's a number, but it's an entity by itself. So it's a repeat entry that we can consider, and we can apply that as a group entry in that case. Date is not a repeat. All of us know that very well, that we live in a date code every day. The date that has come will never come again, and never came earlier in the past also. We live in a unique day every day. Every day we live in a unique day. Our ancestors have coined it up and designed the date in such a way. Of course, they would know that, because if you can think about this, they would think that way before us, I mean, so that's a great, great achievement, I would say that. Date is a unique day. It will never appear again in our life, anybody's life for that matter. It never came earlier also. But date contains 3 important components that are meant for data analysis. So when we do data analysis thereafter, for example, when I go to solution for the companies, for example, then we talk about data normalization, data analysis. So coming to the date part here, there are three parts available for analysis in this case. One is the month, one is the quarter, one is the year. So every date contains these three important groups. That is why this particular part is also a group entry in this case. So group entries are the entries that repeat. Date itself is not the repeat, but then date contains three important group entries: the month, the quarter, and the year. So fundamentally, when I try to work with the pivot table, I should be sure that when I work with the pivot table, I should work with three important parameters. Number one, the group entry. Number two, the values. And number three, the analysis I have to make on which data and how. And that is where the play comes in for fundamentals of pivot table. That's the data understanding. And now the fundamentals. So I click a cell here, go to the insert tab, go to pivot table, and the entire table is taken automatically. There we are. Selection shows complete selection over here. Okay, go to a new sheet, absolutely fine. I need to give you the fundamentals more clearly in this case. So look at the data set here. This is my set of group entries available over here. These are my group entries available here. All the group entries go to filters, columns, and rows. The value entry that I hear, for example, they go to the value section. There are four sections available: filters, columns, rows, and values. The group entries go here primarily from here to here to here. And the value is always here. Without the value, I cannot proceed. That is the most important part. It starts from here. I have a group entry here. When I say it starts from here, I'll comment on this shortly, and I'll relate this thought of mine, which I'm saying right now here, with that thought, which I'll say later. I'll comment on that later and connect the two principles and tell you why that is important. So this is starting point for me. Okay. Now coming to the fundamentals of the pivot table, for example, when we start the pivot table, for example, we first work with something called a summary of the pivot table. The second part, we talk about the cross-tab of the pivot table. The third part, we talk about the hierarchy that we create in the pivot table. This becomes a summary, for example. This becomes a cross-tab, for example. And this becomes a hierarchy. If I have another group over here, that becomes a hierarchy. How does that work? Summary is a base pivot table that we create normally. The definition, I now do the connection. The definition of the summary is not very descriptive. It just says that you always consider the summary creation by saying this statement. You always say value side, this I'm saying value side. Okay. So value by group. That is what defines the summary. That is what defines the summary in short. Okay. If I say cross-tab, for example, like this, I say value by a group crossing the group. That's what we have. Value by group. I'll explain everything practically. Hierarchy, value by group, labeling the group. Leveling the group that is here. Let me explain you. Group here and the value here is basically value by group entry. Cross-tab is like a group here and a group here and the value here. So value by group crossing the group. Cross-tab is here, across like that. That's a cross-tab. Hierarchy is basically a value here, for example, and then I've got the group level. So this below this is another one. Let us see the example practically. I'm giving a connect, which I told you here also, 0. When we announce a report, for example, we don't say customers sale. It is not customer sale, it is our sale. Okay. It is not dealer's sale, it is our sale. So we'll say sale by customer. We'll say sale by dealer. We'll not say customer sale. We say that sometimes it's okay. We learn sometimes some other way around. It's okay. We have a correction always. Okay. So we say sale by. So we say value by. I'm saying this. I was saying this connection earlier. So we say value. This is the primary thing. We have to start the announcement of the report name from here. So value by group. If you see any analysis, you will see that over there. If that clears you, I guess. Now returning here, for example, when I go to define my dealer, suppose I click on that straight on, for example, it straight away goes here automatically. Then if I click on here, for example, quantity, for example, it goes here automatically. And I can see that appearing in this case. That's the time I can really pick up my data like that and try to expand the selection like that, the width in that case to make it wider. And that's why it appears. In your case, you might see row label over here. This I should announce over here saying, for example, quantity by dealer. I should not say dealer's quantity, although that is also not so wrong. But then that's how it is supposed to be announced for that matter. By the way, how do I get the dealer automatically over here? If you don't connect with me right now, let me connect again. I got a raw pivot table here. I'm dragging a dealer here. And then dragging a quantity here, for example, and the report that I get here is called the summary report. That's a summary report, quantity by dealer. That's how it's supposed to announce it. Okay. And I'm getting the dealer automatically here. If you've tried with me, you will see that you get the row label over here. If you've not tried with me, you will have seen that quite often, for example, row label appearing over here. How to change that and how to make it a default over here? Let me first tell you how to change that. The option to change that is here in the design tab. If I go click outside, I won't see design and analyze over here and the pin list disappears. I have to go here and then get these tabs available. Sometimes I cross this over here and I don't see that. I can right click and go for the pin list here. Or I can go to the analyze tab here and get the pin list here. Go, okay, I've got it. So if I click here, for example, go design tab in this case, report layout, it was like this originally, but we can change that to tabular form. So design, report layout, show in tabular form will show me the proper label available here. How can I get that label automatically? Okay, like this. So we go to file, we go to options. We go to file, we go to options, we go to data tab, we go to enable, we go to report layout, we go to show in tabular form. Okay, I'm telling you where it is. File, options, data tab, edit default layout. That's not enabled, that's edit default layout. Yeah, welcome. So I can go here, file, options, data, file, options, data, and edit default layout, and this window will change. That goes to edit default layout. In that, go to report layout. In that, go to tabular form. If I do that here, for example, then every time I open my pivot table, I'll see my column fixed over there by the default column name that should be there. And that is a one-time activity. If I see a big update coming from Excel sometime later, 6 months later, or the update comes every month, but sometimes a major update comes in that case, the setting can go reset again. I will have to set that once again after 6 months or so. In my last scene, I had to do it after 8 to 10 months. Earlier to that, I had to do it in 3 months only because they were giving faster updates. But over the last time, I have not updated for the last 6-7 months right now. So if you have to update once or 6 months, it's okay. But the setting can be done once over here. I can do some more settings. If you remember, this is the option available there. I can do some more settings over here. So that is how I can see, and that's what shows me the pivot options available there. If I have to create my cross tab, I'll come back to more inputs on pivot table shortly. So I'll copy that here, go here, for example, press enter. I want to create my cross tab, for example, and that's in Oracle also. I work in Oracle also. Not heavily these days, but I used to work much deeper into it earlier. So cross tab is there also. SQL Server also has a cross tab. Access also has a cross tab. And then Excel certainly has it. So cross tab is one of the reports of the pivot table, for example. So I can apply this cross tab quantity by dealer and zone or area. I think I have something like that. Yeah, it's a zone. So I'll put the zone over here, and that's a cross tab report. My headers should be right line because my numbers are right line. Right line like that. There we are. Headers are right line. I can see the blanks over here because Shane is not selling in North. They don't have the footprint in North at all, for example. So I can right click anywhere here, for example, pivot table options. I could have done that in my settings already, but then my trainees will not come to know what are the settings I've done. So many settings are there. So I can do this setting also there permanently. For example, if I click here, what have I done, by the way? I'm going to right click option here, pivot table options, and then I go here. For empty cells, show 0. Yep, show 0. And that's it for everything over here. That's a cross tab report. Cross tab is this and this. If you recall my diagram, I told that only this and this is a cross tab. In the diagram I showed earlier, that's a cross tab. That's a summary. In the diagram I showed earlier, that's a summary. Let's go for the hierarchy now. And I'll come back to some more inputs and find inputs on pivot table thereafter. And this has to be by the variant. So I'll check out the zone from here and drag in the variant over here. And that's a smart hierarchy that I see. Extend the selection. It does not take much time formatting the table. We should be expert in formatting because when I send my reports across, I don't have to spend extra time formatting. My formatting goes hand in hand together with my data collection. It's hand in hand. It's quite together. So when my report finishes, my work finishes, my report also finishes together. It becomes quite easy. So there's no harm practicing on formatting of the data also 2-3 times. Eventually it becomes a habit. So it's a good idea to format the data in advance. I can see the hierarchy right now. That's what I can see in this case. And push the hierarchy like that, for example. Variant dealer. Dealer variant. If I want to repeat values here, for example, I can go here. Repeat all item labels, and I can see all item labels repeating over here. If I don't want that, I can go here, did not repeat item labels like this, and there I close it. Can apply like that. I can then double click on this, for example, collapse fields. Yep, I can do that. Collapse, expand. So I can work like that and see my data set available there. One set collapse, I can go to Genswin, for example, and collapse this only and expand when I require that in this case. Some more basic inputs in pivot table. For example, you can say I can't see the the drop down over here. Okay, that's a simple setting. I'll not discuss about that in detail right now. Important part is if you can't see the drop down here, for example, and it's here normally, it doesn't show here. You don't require that here additionally. You can simply go to a new cell here, for example, and try Control-Shift-L, the shortcut for filters. Apply Control-Shift-L over here, the shortcut for filters, for example, in this case, and I get my filters for pivot table instantly in this case. Anywhere in that case, not this cell, any cell adjacent to my pivot table. Apply that and the filters appear instantly in that case. Okay, so I get that like that. Additionally, if I work on the data set here, if I say I want to apply some kind of formula here, for example, I can try equal to here, go to the left and pick up my data. It does not give me this cell normally. It gives me get pivot data option. Now that is a beautiful option for many great features, but we'll discuss that later. Let me see for a bigger session, for example, pivot, I can spend 2 hours on pivot table alone and give me fantastic reports on pivot table. Okay. So if I go for pivot table, for example, I normally see get pivot data here. Why can't I see it right now? How is it working so normal in this case? Let me tell you. Go to the pivot table like that. Analyze tab over here. Pivot table options. Generate get pivot data is not ticked. It is not ticked. If I click on that and go back, it is ticked. And now that is the default. If I go here, equal to, I get pivot data. Now that has got its own way of functioning. I'll not make it more complex by going into that detail right now. In some way, it is a good OLAP feature. Object linking and embedding, and OLAP is data processing, something I forget that right now. It's a very clear word on my mind normally, but then forget it right now. Important part is the good OLAP feature, but then we'll do that later.